Do you think that creating a Formula One car is an easy thing to do? Just nearly a year ago, a group of students from Staffordshire University created a Formula One car from scratch and tested it in Silverstone, one of the biggest racetracks in the UK, with great success. Is it an easy process to create such a car overnight, or does it take a few months? I mean, if a group of students can create a Formula One car, surely it's an easy thing to do. If you think yes, then you are so wrong. Creating a Formula One car takes 3 stages: designing, manufacturing, and testing. All in their own right very important and very vital. With stage 1, designing the custom Formula One car, a member of Staffordshire Uni Racing, Carl Allett, talks us through the process.
My name's Carl Allett. I'm a level 5 student and I'm the brake system manager for this year's Formula Student team.
Knowing where the brakes are is of course very important. Therefore, with designing before manufacturing, it does help with the knowledge of where to place them. Using the right softwares are also crucial when designing the car.
We design our car in one of the buildings at the university. It's in Mellor Building, S105B usually. We use a software called 3D Experience or CATIA V6, which is a industry standard software used for designing all sorts of things.
Designing as the first stage is very helpful for the team. It allows them to have organisation of placing the pieces together and saving the group from confusion. Should they begin manufacturing the car without a layout or plan, it would just fall apart.
Designing the car beforehand benefits the project massively. It helps us check things like clearances, tolerances, and helps us plan where things are going to go, packaging, that kind of thing.
And the length of the process designing takes about a month, contributing towards the year-long grind of the team finishing the project.
The design process will carry us through until probably April, May time. We'll start the process in September, sometimes beforehand, and it will usually carry us through until at least June. That's the whole process, so design, manufacture and testing.
How does the whole team get involved with designing the car? Carl explains that the group work into smaller groups and work on different parts.
We are split into different areas. These are the different areas of the car. So you have the powertrain area, which is like the engine and running gear. You have the vehicle dynamics area, which is things like suspension, braking. And then you have the chassis, which is sort of the skeleton of the vehicle.
When being asked on if he enjoys being part of Staffordshire University racing, Carl agreed, as well as telling us his opinion on his hardest parts of designing.
Oh, the whole process is massively enjoyable. Personal experience, I think it's better than the course because it's a hands-on project and you develop all the skills that you're learning on your course on an actual live project, which is one of the best ways to learn. For me personally, the hardest part of the process is getting used to the new software because it's a software I haven't used before. And although a lot of CAD softwares are very similar, it's just the positioning of the tools and perhaps the slightly different names and icons.
Now stage 2, manufacturing the car, is next. Another member of the team, Alex Rogg, helps us understand the information of this part of the project.
I'm Alex and I am in my second year doing motorsport engineering. In the team I'm currently working on the driveline system, so how the rotational movement from the engine is transmitted to rotational movement at the wheels.
Manufacturing is of course the part when the car is put together. After a month of designing, it is now time to see the car come to life.
We've just changed our name this year, just dropped that in there. We're now Staffordshire Uni Racing. What we manufacture is everything on the car, apart from the wheels, we buy them in. The steering wheel Boss, so for the quick release, and a couple of other things. We use a standard engine, but everything else, intake, exhaust, the whole chassis is all designed and manufactured to the most part in-house by us.
As Alex has mentioned, not all parts are custom made, although the majority are created by the team itself. The other parts are simply bought.
So we need to buy wheels, a steering boss, brake discs, because they're quite expensive to manufacture, tyres. Yeah, that's about it. We design everything, and the stuff we make is all the panelling, the bodywork, the bracketry to hold things in certain position. We also make all of the electrics schematics, and then we use standard wire gauge, and we bring together the circuits.
Like designing the car, every single member of the team is involved and has something to do. No man is left behind or given a break when the vehicle is being structured. A group of people working towards the same goal should bring a camaraderie, togetherness and love into this project. This car, waiting to be made, then tested in Silverstone.
In the team, I think at the start of the year we were on about 32, and now we're on close to 20. So everyone has a massive part to play in doing all that. So around 20 people. We're trying to arrange it so that we have a group of people doing bodywork and then a group of people doing daily achievable smart tasks to keep the project moving.
A main part of the team is organisation and leadership, especially with a huge amount being 20 members.
We've arranged it. We've got 2 team leaders this year, Ollie and Zach, and then we've got below that we've got the business team, which look after all the paperwork for the business plan, the costings, all that sort of thing. And then below that we've got the manufacturing managers, which Carl and I are sort of looking at the engineering drawings and making sure they're right for manufacture. And then we've got all of the different project areas, from the brake system, which Carl's heading up, to suspension system, which is a load of work. Ben's doing that. We've got the bodywork, Zach's doing that. So there's all different sections, and we all try and work to smart targets so that we're achieving something from a measured time, and that helps us to move on. It's just me and the driveline team, but it's fairly simple. And then Dennis is doing ergonomics and steering. So yeah, it's just managing the workload and dividing it up between our 20 or so members.
The manufacturing process has its easy and hard parts, as Alex also explains.
I'd say the hardest part is actually contacting the companies, because they take so long to respond in some cases. The people we are currently working with are of course brilliant, but it takes a long time to get to those decisions of who you're going to use and why you're going to use them, and if they can use your engineering data, which is another lengthy thing, because we've got to adjust engineering drawings to suit them with separate tolerances and formats and views, etc.
Finally, Alex gives his thoughts on the manufacturing process and whether he enjoys the work involved.
I like working with my hands, so yeah, I love the manufacturing side of it, and especially manufacturing on the go to get around a problem that maybe couldn't have been seen in the CAD. Yeah, basically the way it works is we rely on the CAD, and the computer-aided design data then helps us to engineer a more accurate and, well, hopefully more reliable car at the end of the day.
The third and final stage is testing. Dennis Nazaforth, another member of the team, as well as the Tyre Dynamics manager, helps us understand the process.
My name is Dennis Nassifov. I'm a second year motorsport engineering student at Staffs Uni.
The Staffs Uni racing team makes sure that the car is functional and is able to run properly before they go to Silverstone and compete in the competition.
We have to test it depending on how much time we've got after we finish the car in the competition. That time between, we've got where the car park is on the uni, we've got a specially permitted area where the security locks it off and lets us practice.
The team chooses the drivers to test the car. It's usually based on who is the best suited and reliable to help them win. With allowing them to test around the campus, they can get familiar and prepared for the competition at Silverstone.
Preferably the people that are going to be driving, because they need to get familiar with the car, they need to get used to it and see what's wrong with it and get adjusted to the whole feeling of a car, because it's quite different to a normal road car. You have a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 6. So depending on how many people your team chooses. Last year we had about 6 people option to drive, but only about 3 drove because of the events that we'll be competing in.
although only a couple people at most can drive the car. The others, who have already been involved in the design and manufacturing, now have a role in maintenance. At this point, they already know the car inside and out, so they need to make sure that the car is as safe as possible to allow the person inside to drive it.
The others will check over the area they've designed and they've made. So when testing, each component will be under stress and will be tested. So your task basically is to check over each area that you've designed, really, to see if it's moving correctly, if it's damaged in testing or stuff like that.
The testing stage seems like it does have its negatives. One perhaps not getting to field the car in time for the competition.
Hardest probably getting the time to test, because last year we only had about 2 days of testing, which wasn't enough. So yeah, fitting in that time scale. And the easiest is when the car is ready and the car is in good condition, all good, then it's all easy because nothing broke.
Dennis is like Alex and Carl, as they are all part of the same course, motorsport engineering. Having the experience of this particular project helps with their CV, as it's a huge relevance.
Yeah, I love it. To me, it's the most we can get out of our course, as it's very hands-on and gets you to experience being involved with other companies outside of uni, and it feels like a real race environment.
Unfortunately, there is a dilemma testing the car this year, as the coronavirus pandemic has halted the world. Not being allowed near one another and the government enforcing strict rules has stopped the project.
Yeah, we haven't finished the car at all. So we just basically started. We just started welding the chassis, and then it all got called off. So we wouldn't have any time to test it this year. But the whole competition has been called off anyway, so we wouldn't be in there.
Most team members have gone home to be with their family, while others are staying in university providing accommodation. The project has been put aside as there isn't a reasonable point to continue. The team members are instead focused on their main uni work in their courses, as well as revising for exams. Working from home is not ideal. The group had finished up whatever they could in the car, but it isn't finished yet to be tested. They went to Silverstone last year, but to do it 2 years back to back will be an issue. The team have still been in contact with one another through video calls, having quiz nights and regular interaction, all still hopeful that they can finish what they've started.
Yeah, we've kept it pretty tight, to be fair. We've done weekly quizzes on a Saturday, so they go from like 8 o'clock till late. So they're proper fun. Just hammer on with a couple of questions and see how bad we all do. But yeah, that's fun. And then obviously I'm mates with loads of them on the side of that as well. Not just because of the project. So we're always chatting and doing work and stuff. So yeah, it's nice to keep in touch with everyone, get you through the lockdown sort of thing.
They are not the only ones disappointed with the situation, as most of us can agree we would all love to go back to our projects and regular lives, as well as finishing our school, college or uni year. It is a very unusual and very uneasy situation we are facing at the moment. Alex, now at home with his family building a pond, hoping there's a chance in the future to go back, although it's unlikely.
We got the chassis fully welded up, so the tubular members that make up the majority of the car with the weight, we got that welded up, and then we put all the floor panels on, so they were guillotine cut using aluminium sheet, so they perfectly fit the profile of the chassis where they're meant to go. So it stops things like rocks from getting inside the car, so you put the whole floor panel in. And on from that, the wishbone too, we machined them and then plug welded into the chassis so that you can mount the 90-degree, the double 90-degree, like double shear type brackets to hold on the wishbones, and then they go out to the uprights. The front uprights we already had done. They're the things that hold the wheel bearing and then the wheel, and they attach to the wishbone, which attaches to the chassis. So the front's pretty much rolling, and then Carl did a brake bracket so that we can run a larger disc and then get a greater braking force, because the car's going to be slightly heavier, and we were a bit short of brake force last year, so we've expanded on that. And then we've got all the suspension, so we were just making up the brackets to mount the shocks to the chassis. And then we were putting in the harness bar, so the thing that the 6-point seat belt, so you clip yourself in 5 or 6 times. One of those, they're connected to the roll hoop with the harness bar, and they got to be at a certain height. So that's what we were, well, the day lockdown was announced, that's what we were doing, putting the harness bar in. So we were fairly close, annoyingly close.
The car is like the UK at lockdown, just waiting for the team to return and finally complete it.
Well, the plan this year is, because we've got so far with the car and the design is really good, I think we're looking to run the same chassis next year, but potentially change the engine setup or some major change so that we can enter it next year. But luckily, I think the competition have allowed us to enter the same chassis 2 years on the trot, obviously, because we haven't had a competition this year. We will most likely get this car finished next year before December, and then test that, and then potentially build a new chassis on the side, which would be ace.
The team had already had experience creating a car last year. Because of this, they knew their positives and negatives of replicating a Formula 1 car the same as the year before. Although creating the same model isn't really as fun.
Well, the differences are we've considered other elements, other areas of design. So we started off with a vehicle skeleton, given the track and the wheelbase, and then we put the wheel center line, the diff center line even, on the wheel center line, so we wouldn't have the same issues with stupid angles of the drive shafts, which made them snap. And to also combat that, we've got a spare pair of drive shafts just in case. Yeah, the suspension system was optimized this year, so we've gone for a pull rod type system, which basically means we'll be able to package the whole suspension system within the confines of the wishbone or thereabouts, due to the way the pull rod locates on the suspension. We've got all new bodywork this year. The livery's being designed as we speak, so that'll be cool. Hopefully keep the Spitfire type theme going as a tribute to Stoke. Basically, the whole car is wide wherever, so we've just built the car slightly bigger because, if anything, the car last year was too small. It meant that we'd have to sit in the car in funny positions to pass inspection. It wasn't really the right size. And the fact that we're consulting the CAD for everything, so we're using lots of templates, jigs and fixtures to develop the most accurate manufacturing techniques alongside the new technology and the software that we're using, which helps us to develop our understanding alongside our course.
With a car potentially on the side and new members perhaps joining next year, it wouldn't be fair for them to test a car that they haven't created. Would that mean that older members are going to miss out on driving the final project?
The team will be the same, I'm hoping, but it will be bigger because we're going to be hopefully taking the intake of students from the first years all the way up, so we'll get another intake of students. So hopefully the team will double. Potentially that could happen, and it will allow us to run 2 designs. Yeah, so that will be good. The competition have allowed students that are leaving to come on again next year, which will be great, so they can see their car that they've designed get down to Silverstone and actually race. So yeah, all of the people leaving will be allowed to return, and hopefully we'll get a load of foundation and first years on board, and then see where we go and see how far we get this year.
The team are passionate about cars even when it isn't the one they're making. Most enjoy waxing their own cars in their free time, as well as others testing to see if they can race them.
No, it's just personal projects, I think. So I'm trying to get my car logbooked and enter it into some race stages. So I'm just plodding through all the simple jobs with that because my tools are left in Stoke. So I'm just doing some wiring and bits and bobs like that. I think other than that, everyone's got their own personal projects. Dennis has put some coilovers on his car. John's doing coilovers, working on his Mini. But yeah, it's all drawing on the experience we're taking from the Formula student really, which is brilliant. I'm building a pond today, so yeah, it's all fun.
Although the car had not been tested this year and the competition had been cancelled, there will be a new year where the team can finally finish the job. On my personal experience of finding out the process of creating a Formula 1 car, I can say it was fascinating at most. A huge team of students having fun is how you sum it up. It's less about the car and more about the team at this point, who enjoy each other's company working on the project or casually meeting up for a pint. Being around most of them myself, I can say all they really talk about most of the time is cars and how to fix them. They don't really stop talking about the topic. They even leave car parts in their house like they're waiting for their car to break so they can just repair it. They are all good lads despite that and are fun to hang around with. The road to Silverstone may have ended prematurely this year, but they're looking forward to next year and maybe a bigger and better car. As for the project itself, I hope the car is finished whenever the team can complete it. It's a shame if they can't after all the hard work and effort towards it. It is great to know that the university has a society like this for students, as it seems like a great group to be part of. It was nice to see how passionate these people are and how proud they are to be a part of Staffs Uni Racing without saying anything bad about the society at all. As a Staffs University student myself, I hope to do Staffs proud and win a Silverstone competition next year. My name is Ahmed Hussain, and you'll be listening to Staffs Uni Racing, creating the ideal car.